So it doesn't mean that when you ask him a time, you give them money. Yeah, so that one is a kind of metaphor. Okay. And then afterwards,
Halo Bu Sinta, are you here? Halo Bu Sinta. Halo Bu Sinta. Halo Bu Sinta. Let's wait until Bu Sinta comes in ya. Okay. Yeah, sorry for this inconvenience, everyone. I'm still communicating with Bu Sinta because Bu Sinta were kicked by from the room. Yeah, probably. Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay,
welcome Bu
can you see
Sinta.
me now?
Welcome again.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Zoom hates me, yeah? No.
No, no, no. The signals, I
Okay,
think.
okay. All right,
Yeah,
let me
just
continue. Okay. I'm afraid that we are running out of time, so I'll make it fast because there are a lot of things that we need to discuss, especially here in um, psycholinguistics, yeah, because there are a lot of things like even AI, you will understand here, like, you won't be able to
it's
construct
so
AI if you don't
interesting.
have
Yeah.
psycholinguistics. So this one is actually like very important. Psycholinguistics is really important. Um, and it can help you in your daily life, and it can help you like even in your working place, yeah. So okay, so I'll continue here. So yeah, in the Scarborough reading rope here, this one is also something related to the language comprehension. Then you will be able to recognize words or recognize the semantics or even the pragmatics meanings if you know the language comprehensions, if you got enough language comprehension and word recognition. Yeah, the phonological awareness, here, the phonological awareness, the decoding, alphabetical principles, the structures of the alphabet. Like beforehand, when I show you like the unstructured letters there, if you are not familiar with English, you won't be able to read it. You won't be able to recognize the words. Yeah. But once you recognize the words, means that um, you have sufficient English storage here in your brain. Yeah, because you need to decode the alphabetic principles, the phonological awareness, how is the correlation between the letter and the sounds, yeah? Why do you say comprehension, not comprehension? Yeah? So this, you need the word recognition on how to read, how to connect the letters to its phonology. Okay, so this one is decoding, and then sight recognition, or you need to recognize the familiar words, especially in the target language. Okay. Okay. Next one here. This one is the example of language comprehension. So in psycholinguistics, you can actually you can make a research, and the research can be used by two approach. The first one is by descriptive, and then the second one is by experimental. Yeah, experimental method. So here, one of the example of the click location experiment. Yeah, there are two treatment that are used for the click locations. So actually this one, the slash one, is the click, yeah, the location of the click, where they made like a pose for the click. Yeah, and then how can the different click location can influence your ability in comprehending the text or comprehending the utterance here. So Bu Lisa, I would like to have your insight here. Yeah. For the first one here, when I say the teacher who taught the biggest class was given extra pay by his principal, would you be understand to fluently comprehend the words or the sentence? No,
No,
right?
because
Kind of.
I think it's not the appropriate combination of word.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the location of the click is not in the right place. So which means
Mhm.
that the intonation when you speak, yeah, the intonation when you listen, this one is also matter, okay, in gaining the comprehension, okay? So that's why when you are in the classroom and then you explained your material to your friend and then you read, which means that when you read, you yourself doesn't even know what's inside the content, right? So sometimes you got mislocations on the posing. So instead of saying, like the second one, the teacher who taught the biggest class was given extra pay by his principal. This one is more understandable than the first one. But when you read the passage and then you are not in the correct click or in the correct pose, then how will you expect the audience to understand you? Yeah. So this one is also important. Yeah. The click location, the comprehension. And then here, the phoneme monitoring task here, the phoneme monitoring task is faster when explicit syntactic structure is present. So, Bu Lisa again. Sorry, I need your volunteering
Okay.
here. When you see the number one and number two, what's the differences?
Um, in the first sentence, I told Mark the woman I met had red hair. It means that the woman, the woman whose hair is red, right?
Okay, what about
And
the second one?
I told Mark that the woman who I met had red hair. Similar, but I think I understand more for the second sentence than the first sentence.
Which one give you more understanding?
The second one, of course.
The second one, which means that
Yeah.
here you can see the explicit syntactic structure that is
Mm.
present, yeah, in the sentence, it can give you more comprehension than those who are not. Okay, especially in the written one. But if it is in conversation, probably like the phony monitoring here, you can see it from the context. Yeah. So context is also important, especially in the conversation. Yeah. So here, the existing or the explicit syntactic structure, the use of that and who here is really important in how you can comprehend words or sentence easily, or which one is not, yeah, kind of hard for you. Am I comprehended well, or is it the correct comprehension, or does it mean the other one? Yeah. So again, syntax is also important here. See, we
So
have
grammar
phonology
really
before,
matters
we
to you,
have
Sinta.
syntax as well, right? Yeah. I
Mm.
told Mark that the woman who I met had red hair. Yeah. This one is easier to be understood. However, the next example here, the use of prosody and punctuation for understanding. So if you can see here, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Oh, for number 3, I think it's got mixed up. So here, the difference between them is the punctuation. If it is in written text, then you will say it in punctuation. But if you say it in the conversation, then you will hear it by the use of the pauses. Okay. So number 1, you can say, "What is this thing called love? What is this thing called love?" Yeah. And number 2, "What is this thing called love? What is this thing called love?" Yeah, so means that the love here, you are addressing someone. For number 1, what is this thing called love? You are asking about love, right? Number 2, what is this thing called love? Means that you are asking a certain thing to someone you love. Yeah. And then number 3, what is this thing called love? Right? So it's kind of so from the 3, even though the words are actually the same, there is no differences in the use of the words, right? But the punctuation, the how you utter or the way you speak, yeah, it affect your comprehension. Yeah, the same thing as when you made a conversation with your friend, yeah, your friend may perceive it differently. Ya, pernah nggak ada yang berantem gara-gara salah apa namanya, salah persepsi?
Salah tangkap.
Perasaan aku ngomongnya udah bener deh. But then, yeah, other perceive it differently. Yeah, this one is something related to language comprehension, right?
Yeah.
Mungkin ada punctuation or the prosody that you got it wrong, yeah, that is perceived differently with other people, yeah. Okay, language comprehension. Now we go to the language production. So the language production here means that when you produce utterances, yeah, language production is the production of either spoken or written language. Yeah, spoken or written. You know, for me, written is actually more difficult than spoken. Well, for me, because when you write something, you need to think it, like question it again and again. Because in written language, the only way that can help you in supporting the context is only punctuation and also the words or the diction that you use, right?
Yeah.
If it
There's
is
no
if it
code.
is in spoken, the whole context are there. So you
Yeah.
don't need to restate it again and again, or you don't need to build up the context because the context is there surround you.
Mm.
So that's why in spoken words, when you say one, yeah, two, taking for example, you don't know English and then you go abroad and then you want to buy something and then you say one, right? Even when you say one, the seller has understood about what you want, right? When you're pointing on something, that's context, right?
Point it
So,
out.
but that one is part of language production too. The first one, this one is the idea or how we process, yeah, the process when we produce the language. The first one is the conceptualization. You need to conceptualize your intention. Yeah, what do you want? And then you formulate it. You formulate it by taking down, like taking the dictions that you know, taking the dictions or the lexical store here in your brain, and also the structure. Yeah, so if you don't know English well and then you want to speak English, you have like you have the vocabularies but you don't know the structure, then there is possibility for the first language to interfere to the second language. Yeah, instead of saying come here, then you say here. Yeah, this one is something normal for a new learners. Yeah, because they don't know the basic concept of the structure itself. Yeah, and then the articulations. Yeah, how do you pronounce the words? So again, especially in English, when you want to articulate something and then you don't know how, or you still confused about how to articulate it, consult the dictionary. Yeah, so do not be a fortune teller. Jangan jadi cenayan, ya. Jangan jadi cenayan. Jadi production or ya pede dengan ngomongnya tapi ternyata salah. When you utter it, it's wrong. Yeah. So again, it will be better for you to get like more when you got like more understanding on a certain culture, on a certain language, then you will have like a good articulation. It will be easier for you to formulate things and then um, to express your thought. And then the last process here is self-monitoring. Yeah. When you have a good formulation here, when you have a good structure, when you have a good dictions, then the second one is self-monitoring. How many of you here, when you speak, yeah, when you speak and then you realize that you are wrong? Like taking, for example, I go to supermarket yesterday. Wait, I should have said went, not go. So this one is one of the example of self-monitoring. So you hear what you say and then you reflect it to your own. Yeah, so this one is self-monitoring. So this one is how people learn to produce the language. Okay. The next one here. This one is the language production, the example of the language production. And the example of the research in language production, especially in the use of short pause, medium pause, long pause, and then very long pause, and then even like field pause. Why do you do or why do you field the language filler here in your conversation? Yeah. Yes, I went from sleepy old Wellington to the great bustle of Rome via, I think, the longest route ever. That one has taken from New Zealand to Australia because I got cheap, a cheap airfare. Yeah, so this one means that when you produce utterances, there is a process when you think. That's why the poses is there. When there is a pose, means that you think. Yeah. Even you know, this kind of poses in utterance, this can also indicate like whether someone lied to you or whether someone tells the correct one. Yeah. Jadi kalau yang bohong, ya, if you lie to someone, usually you give like inconsistent information. That's number one. And the second one, the poses. Yeah, because when you want to lie, you need to think. You need to think more than when you tell the truth. Yeah. And then here you can see also the process of self-monitoring here. The taking for example in where is it? The example is when you can see here there is like a finally manage. So this one is kind of repetition. Yeah, there is a repetition. And then this repetition could be, it happens because you think, what do you want to express afterwards? Yeah. And then here there is a underline, means that you fill it with and means that you need to think more. Yeah, and then here I think it's actually I think. Yeah, so this one I think, and then like that one is a part of language filler. And then if it is like self-reflection, the that one is the one that I explained before, that when you say, usually when you say I go, oh sorry, I went, yeah, you reflected and then you correct your words like that. Okay. Next one, after language
Excuse,
productions, we
excuse me,
have
Businta. Let me
language
remind you that
disorders. I think the time is
Businta,
up, is it?
excuse me. Hello, Businta.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me remind you that you have 10 minutes left.
Oh, all right, all right. I'll make it faster, yeah. Because actually after this, I'm gonna show you like a lot of videos related to language disorders, related to psycholinguistics, yeah. So, okay, let me make it faster here in language disorder. This one is a communication disorder that interferes with learning, understanding, and the using of language, yeah. And this becomes your habit. So if it only happens like in a temporary, then it could be that this one is not a language disorder. It could be that this only a glitch in your brain when you want to give like the information between your nerve system. Okay, because it's normal when someone say like salt and then your brain sugar, or when you think of sugar and then what comes out from your utterance is actually salt. That's normal if it happens only once or twice. But if it always happens, then you need to question yourself. Okay. Okay, so this one is aphasia. Aphasia itself is divided into two, Broca's aphasia and Wernicke's aphasia. This aphasia is usually occurs because of the damage in the location, yeah, either in Wernicke, which is related to the speech production, or speech comprehension, and Broca's area, or in the speech production. If you realize, I made a self-monitoring as well. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So that one is a self-monitoring as well. And then dyslexia. Dyslexia, this one is usually happens because of the genetics. So this one is inherited. Yeah. Inherited. I will also show you one of the video of the dyslexia. And then we have speech delay. Speech delay is usually occurs for, it's like if you have children and then they are already in the age of like 3, but their utterances is still unclear. You need to be aware on these symptoms, yeah. And then stuttering itself, stuttering like like that, or the case of Kamala and Jenny. The case of Kamala and Jenny, this one is the case where the language disorders was actually caused by the environment. Yeah. So Kamala was actually children, Kamala and Amala, those are children who were raised by wolves. Yeah. So they behave, they howl like a wolf, and they do the exact same thing as a wolf. And then Jenny is actually what a kid or a child. She was kept or isolated in a small dump room here, and not a single sound was exposed here to Jenny. So Jenny can't or couldn't speak at all because no exposure on Jenny. Okay, the next one here. Okay, so I'd like you to watch videos. And then this one is one of the example of people or a person who is suffering. Here, Sarah.
Okay.
You can see
So what's your
Sarah
name?
here.
Scott. Oh, no. Sarah Scott.
That's right. And how old are you?
I can't.
Try.
Yeah. If you see the production, like Sarah actually comprehend the language. Sarah knows how to answer actually, to answer the mother's questions. This one can be shown by, Sarah like taking notes. Like this notes is actually helping her to produce the language. So she was suffered from a stroke, and this stroke caused the damage in her Broca's area. So it caused her to not be able to produce speech fluently as the normal people, like that. Okay, and then the next one is here. This one is the next video. I will make it faster.
Sorry.
Can you even write sorry?
Can you even write sorry? So she said. Now, if you can see here, yeah, the way he wrote sorry is actually different with the normal people. So the letters are actually upside down, right? This is not because she is dumb, not because she doesn't know how, but it's just because they're like her way of thinking is different with the normal people. And this one is one of the example of dyslexia. And this dyslexia is caused by genetic. So if you are suffering from dyslexia, probably you can ask like your mom or your daddy or, like someone from your family. They got this one too. Yeah. And for people of dyslexia, some of them find difficulties in writing down, and some of them find difficulties in listening. So instead of saying, like when they hear cat, they will hear it as bat. So the k become b or k become t. Yeah. So that's the way they perceive sound. It's not because they are dumb. So if you treat them correctly with a certain treatment, there is possibilities for them to heal or to be able to see the world. Yeah, because yeah, I also experienced one of my students who got dyslexia, and at first he will struggle with this one, reading and listening, but over time he is good, yeah, in comprehending things. Okay, the next one here, language acquisition, the process by which humans learn and understand the use of language. I think we're gonna skip this, yeah, because due to the limited of time. This one is quite important. Here, the approach in psycholinguistics, first, you can do the observation or you can do experimental research if you want to do research in psycholinguistics, yeah. For the observation itself, you can do like a recording. Observation, it is divided into two. The first one is what is it? for participatory observation and a non-participatory observation. This video is a part of participatory observation because when you record, you also give, you also involved in the observation. Okay, so here you want to know the kids' ability in producing words or in saying things or answering things. Yeah, you can hear
We're
it.
gonna get started with the magic bag. What's in there today? Can you sit on your bum? Thank you. Sit down. All right. What should we find? You reach in. Pick something. What are you looking for? It's new things in here. Oh, what did you find? It's a ring. Look at my mouth. Ring. Careful. It's a ring. Look here. Ring.
You are still muted, Bu Sinta. Sorry, Bu Sinta, you are still muted.
All right, sorry. So if you can see him, like he is actually in the age of 4 years old, if I'm not mistaken. 4 years old, yeah? 4 years old, but he's still not able to speak properly. Yeah, so even though he knows the words, but then he can't express his mind as the normal kids do. Okay, so in the observation method here, you can participate in your observation by recording yourself, yeah, giving them the stimulus, and then you can observe the response, yeah, the response that they give you. Okay. And then the second one here is the experimental method. For the experimental method, usually you divide between the control group and the experimental group, and you give a certain treatment to the experimental group. So here, this one, experimental, to know how is the differences of their ability in in phonological awareness for monolingual and bilingual. Which one is smarter? Something like that, yeah? So this research is actually conducted by Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences here.
Hi, my name is Naya Feriana Ramirez at the University of Washington,
Okay.
and monolingual babies. First, we brought the 11-month-old babies
So,
into the lab with their parents.
yeah, usually
half of the babies
you
were from
take
monolingual English-only
the
households.
children to a
The other
certain
half
lab
of the
for
babies,
a certain
such as the one in
condition
this
there.
video, were from Spanish-English bilingual households. Our researchers first prepared the babies for data collection. They used a hat and a special digitizing pen to track the shape of the baby's head. This procedure allowed us to continuously monitor the baby's head position as they moved in the MEG machine. Then
Yeah,
we
you
brought
put
the
them
babies
in a
into the MEG
machine.
room.
So this one is something
The
that is
magnetoencephalography,
difficult,
or
but then
MEG
for
machine, is
experimental
safe,
itself,
non-invasive, and completely silent.
you
By
can use
detecting
something
changes
else,
in the
yeah?
magnetic field, it precisely pinpoints both the timing and the location of activity in the brain. Our MEG facility is the first in the world configured specifically for babies. During data collection, the babies sat on a special high chair beneath the MEG helmet with their parents sitting nearby. The babies listened to a stream of sounds such as da's and ta's. Some
This
of the
one is
sounds
the
were specific to
treatment.
English and
Then you
Spanish,
give
and
them
some were
special
common to both
treatment to the
languages.
baby, and then you see which brain that usually they see it by the flow of the brain, which is active. Yeah.
When we looked at the brain responses, we found that at 11 months of age, the brains of babies from monolingual families were specialized to process the sounds of English and were not sensitive to Spanish. The brains of
Okay, so monolinguals, they are sensitive to English but not to Spanish. So for monolinguals, they're only sensitive to one language, but for bilingual, they will be sensitive to 2 languages. Yeah. So sometimes if you expose like children with two languages, of course they will got confused, or we can call it as a language confusion. Yeah. But it's like for me myself, like I usually like I also give like a treatment to my daughter actually. I give her a treatment of giving her two languages at once. At first, like she tend to act like she has like a speech delay, yeah, at first, because I believe that she got confused on whether this one is bahasa or this one is English. Yeah, but then after that, as she grows awareness on the two languages, I starting to focus or separating the two languages so that she can gain comprehension that this one is English and this one is bahasa. So then um, I what is it? I gave her in Indonesian environment, so I speak her with full bahasa Indonesia within a month. Then turns out that she gained a rapid, an explosion of a language. She understand and she can express her mind in bahasa Indonesia. So which means that during this period of time, like when she tried to express, she actually confused whether this one is English or whether this one is bahasa Indonesia. But just but then this one is also gained a little benefit or a benefit that she can recognize she got easily learn English because she was adapted to English before, like that. Okay. I think the time is up, right?
Hi, my name
The material we still have. Okay. So I think I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
think you
Thank you very much.
I think we have to continue our discussion in the future, Bu Sinta. I haven't got enough, yeah. Bu Sinta, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Personally, I'm very interested in the matter of language acquisition. Yeah, especially actually we have similar case with our daughter because my daughter is also bilingual too. Yeah, so at the first she couldn't talk bahasa fluently, but when she gets older and then she's already get awareness in bahasa. Now she can separate when she has to speak in bahasa, when she has to speak in English. So now she can speak in both language fluently. And also when you speak about when you talk about the language disorder, it actually personally very relates to me because my daughter has speech delay, but alhamdulillah she's got much better today. And her dokter anak and dokter rehab medik is also are also diagnosed her dyslexia. Dyslexia, yeah. Actually, it's like a self-diagnose because saya juga tuh kadang kalau ngomong suka belibet tuh, Sinta. Terus kadang suka kayak agak stuck. Aduh, terus saya harus ngomong apa ya? Abis ini saya harus ngomong apa ya? Walaupun kayak udah di prepare sedemikian rupa, kayak bingung ini harusnya saya ngomong apa sih setelah ini gitu ya. Jadi kalau saya sih self-diagnose, sepertinya saya juga disleksia walaupun mungkin nggak parah gitu ya, karena kan memang disleksi itu inherited ya, walaupun walaupun sebetulnya diagnosanya tuh baru bisa tegak nanti di umur 7 tahun gitu ya. Tapi sepertinya sih iya. Kemudian ayahnya juga tulisannya itu jelek banget. Katanya tuh salah satu ciri-ciri orang disleksia tuh tulisannya itu jelek, tapi jeleknya tuh benar-benar parah sampai sulit dibaca gitu ya. Tapi nggak boleh self-diagnosis sebetulnya ya. Harus dicek ke psikolog atau ke dokter rehab medik gitu ya. Jadi Bu Sinta, it's really inspiring, it's really um, apa ya, beneficial knowledge for us gitu ya, termasuk untuk saya. So now everyone, we come to the question and answer question. So if you are curious, yeah, to ask something to Bu Sinta, you can raise your hand. I will give opportunities to 3 people only, yeah. Okay, Delviana. Okay, first Delviana.
Okay, sorry, I can't open my camera right now, and
Okay.
I would like to ask regarding especially the material that has been presented. Sorry, just wait for me. Okay, the part of sorry,
Delviana. Okay.
okay, so the part of psycholinguistic, which is has been presented, and one thing that I am really interested and I want to ask is that the language production, and the language production, how do people produce language, and regarding this time especially, maybe we are familiar with Indonesian, I mean mixing Indonesian and English, and it is very familiar, I think, as of now. And sometimes maybe some words in Indonesia, it's it's really basic to know that, but then we can't because we are get used to it in English. I mean, now we are mixing, a little bit like bahasa Indonesia a little bit, then English is a little bit. Is that a problem? I mean, regarding this psycholinguistic, because how to produce a language, because if we produce the language, I mean, in once we produce like 2 languages, English and then bahasa Indonesia. I mean, is it how can you, how is your how do you say about that? I mean, how do you say about the problem, especially in Indonesia right now?
All right, thank you very much for Delphiana. Yeah. So this one is actually related, like this phenomenon from what is it? Bahasa Jaksel, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bahasa Jaksel. Okay. So Delphiana is actually asking whether this Bahasa Jaksel is actually a kind of language disorder or not. Yeah. If it is, in my opinion, because I haven't searched, and I believe, based on the materials that I have searched as well. So mixing a language, this one is not part of disorders. This one is not part of language disorders. Why? Because this happens naturally. Yeah, this happens naturally, and even for people who mix the language, their language, when you ask them to speak like in a full Bahasa Indonesia in a certain case, they will be able to do that. Okay, and then when you ask them to speak like in full English, they will also be able to do that. So this one is kind of normal phenomenon, especially if this one is related to the power, or the power of the language itself. Because sometimes when you speak the 2 languages, you have another intention. It's like you want other people to see you as smart women, right? Smart people, or you were raised in a great education or something like that, right? And this one is something related to sociolinguistics. But then somehow, when you relate this to psycholinguistics, there is also correlation with the bilingual. Yeah, how does the bilingual process their mind or their thought? Yeah, one of them is by mixing them. And if you notice, when you express or when you mix the language, some of the phrases you can you can actually mix the language, like you will use a certain phrase in Bahasa Indonesia and some other phrases in English. Like the other example is the example of the words is when you say, you know what? Tahu nggak Bu Sinta tuh ya? So, why do you use English in you know what, but not in Bu Sinta tuh ya? Yeah. So this one is the word choices that also referring to how you produce or something that is occurs in your mind. If you are adapted to Bahasa Indonesia or your native speakers is actually Bahasa Indonesia, the longer words that you will speak, yeah, like the information that you will deliver, you usually deliver it in Bahasa Indonesia. But you will insert the English in a certain expressions. Like, you know what, that one is kind of expressions, right? Or in a certain dictions that is usually a borrowing words. Or even if you see like the words itself, yeah, one word or even like two words with has sorry, which has the same meaning, it brings different perspective to humans' understanding. Yeah. The example is the word register. Yeah. Like in marketing. So when it is in conversation, then you can say, register yourself. Ayo registrasi. Ayo registrasikan dirimu, atau registrasi, ayo udah registrasi belum? So you use register. That's a borrowing words, right? If you're not bilingual, you won't be able to know what register is. But then if you see it in the flyer, yeah, the flyer itu instead of saying register, you will say daftarkan diri Anda. Yeah, you don't say register diri Anda, right? Yeah. So why does that happen? Because lexical, the word itself, yeah, it brings a certain perspective in your mind. If you see the headlines in Jokowi era, this one is one of the example that I always bring because this one is like a very clear, like in Jokowi era, and then in how is it? In the previous one before Pak Jokowi, we have SBY era. Yeah, when it was in SBY era, the headlines usually used banjir di Jakarta. So the flood, yep, banjir. So the word banjir. But then when it turns to Jokowi era, then they change the word. Instead of banjir, they say genangan terjadi di Jakarta. You know, the choice of words. Yeah, the choice of words. It can give you different perspective. So we call it as the power of words. So the word itself, it brings power. It can persuade you. It can, the correct diction that you use, it can hypnotize you. Yeah. So when people do code switching, they have another intention. It could be like it is a, when you learn about code switching, we have situational code switching and we have metaphorical code switching. You do metaphorical code switching because when you switch the language, you have another intention. Yeah. So you switch the language. Yeah, this one is something that is deal with also a brain too. Yeah. Like another example in nowadays we have a war like between Palestine and Israel, right? So if you can see it clearly, the war is not only between the bombing, but also how do you hypnotize or how do you persuade the readers that we are in the right side and the other one is in the wrong side. So that's why like people of Israel tend to call themselves as defense themselves, right? Defending. They always repeating these words. Why? Because they want to hypnotize you. They want to use this word as their power to hypnotize the people that their action, even though it is bad, it's normal or it's legalized because they do it for defending themselves, like that. Yeah. So this one is related to words and power. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Delphiana, for the question.
All right. Is it clear for you, Delphiana?
Yes, thank you very much. I got it.
Okay. Thank you, Delphiana, and thank you, Sinta, for the response. And now we go to the second person. Okay. I think we only get two opportunities, yeah, for Delphiana and Agustin. Okay, Agustin, please.
I'm curious about the first discussion, about how baby can copy what their parents talk about, even they copy it from vowels. If a baby learn language from the environment they grew up on, even though they don't really understand what the adult's talking about, then how come someone can grow up in a strong bilingual environment? That's my question, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Great question, Augustine. So again, this one is one of the example of the actually for the theory of the language acquisition itself. The one that you say before, it was like behaviorist theory that children actually acquire language because of the exposure of their surrounding, and babies, they imitate parents. Yeah, they imitate adults. Yeah. And then so may I share screen again? Sorry. So I will share your screen here. Actually, I was about to discuss this in my slide here, which is related to language acquisition. Here we have behaviorist theory. So this one is the behaviorist theory. And then the second question that you asked is, how could children can acquire two languages if they can't even understand one language, right? Is that right, Augustine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this one is a good question, basically. And this one will happen to my daughter actually when I expose her to two languages. So that's why turns out that when you expose children to two languages, it can cause them to language, what is it? What is it? Bingung bahasa. We call it as language confusion. Yeah. So they will confuse or whether this one is in English or this one is in bahasa Indonesia. So my suggestion for this, actually, you need to be able to consistently expose the language. So the key words here is what is it? Consistent. Yeah, consistent. The example is when the children speak or say some, or like the two parents, like mother and father, the mother should say in bahasa, and then the father, he can speak in English. So as long as they are consistent, then the children can be consistently aware that, oh, I think my father, if I talk to my father, instead of saying kucing, I would say cat. And if I talk to my mother, then instead of saying cat, I would like to say kucing. Yeah. So consistency. Or they got confused because they don't have the conceptualization. If you revert to the theory of language comprehension, before they comprehend things, they need to be able not only storing the vocabularies, but also how to conceptualize the vocabularies. Yeah, so conceptualization is really important. And by giving them consistency in the usage of two languages, yeah, then they will get easily understood or conceptualize which one is English and which one is Bahasa Indonesia. Yeah. So that's why here, since my husband actually like, so the case of Indira is my daughter. It's kind of complicated because I talk in English with her, and then the father talk in Bahasa with her, and then my maid talk in Javanese with her. So it's kind of sorry. Terlalu bersemangat ini jadi batuk-batuk. So it's kind of
Minum dulu,
complicated,
Bu
yeah,
Sinta, minum
for
dulu.
for this case. But yeah, again, consistency, it helps children to acquire language appropriately, especially when they want to gain more than two languages. Okay. So yeah, for this four theory, I don't think that I need to explain the four of them. And we also have like a cognitivism theory. There are a lot of theories that need to explain, yeah. You can have just sit in my class, Agustin, if you would like to.
Nanti kita lanjut di sesi berikutnya ya, Bu Sinta ya. Kita harus ada jilid 2-nya ya kayaknya, Bu Sinta.
Okay.
Actually, I'm really interested on this topic, on this issue.
Okay, Agustin, is there any question? I mean, like, do you still confused or?
I understand that. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
You're welcome, Agustin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you, Delviana and Agustin Intan, for your interesting question, and thank you so much for Bu Sinta to answer them very clearly. Yeah, yeah. As we have reached our the end of the session. Yeah. But I want to make a little bit summary. Yeah. Actually, as we conclude our discussion on bridging language in life through psycholinguistics, we've explored how our understanding of language shapes our everyday interaction and relationship, of course. Yeah, we have seen that how this insight can enhance our communication and foster deeper connection. I really encourage each of you to reflect on the ideas shared today and consider how you can apply them in your own life, yeah? And whether through further reading or engaging in conversation, the journey of exploring language and its impact is ongoing, yeah? A heartfelt thank you to our speaker, Ibu Sinta Aziz, for her invaluable insight and for guiding us through this fascinating topic. Your expertise has greatly enriched our understanding, and we really appreciate the time and effort you've dedicated to our discussion today, Ibu Sinta. And I really hope that there will be further discussion on this topic, on this issue, because I'm personally really interested. Yeah. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you so much for all of the participants who are still here until now, yeah. And I also want to thank to Pak Ajis, Bu Anita Kusumawati, Bu Nerisha, and Bu Wirhayati, who have joined with us here. Yeah, okay. I really hope that we can have another discussion on this related topic. Yeah. Once again, thank you very much for Ibu Sinta. And thank you so much for all of the participants. I think that's all for our today's discussion. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu Sinta.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu
Waalaikumsalam
Sisa.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Ya, see
Miss.
you, Bu
Thank you,
Sinta.
everyone.
Thank you, Miss.